It's been 30 long years since the last Enlisted update. What's up, guys? Welcome back. We finally are getting some news about the next update for Enlisted, and this is actually a fun one. This is the weapons and vehicles of the Jet Power update. Gee, I wonder what could possibly be in this update, guys. So as you can see, obviously we're going to have some sort of jets. And they say as much here. If you want to pause the video, you can do so now and read through this, but it's basically just telling us, hey, this is what's going to be in this dev blog. The important bit here that we do want to mention and we do want to talk about is that, one, these jets are only going to be in high BR battles, and more importantly, they plan to revise the matchmaking so that BR3 and BR5 are actually separate from one another, which we will have a future dev blog about. That, guys, is huge. Okay, that is absolutely massive for a couple reasons. Number one, just from a pure balance perspective, BR3 has no business fighting BR5. BR3 still has a lot of players using bolt actions. BR3 still has a lot of players using medium, early to mid war vehicles like the Sherman 75 and the Sherman 2 for the British variant of it, against things like King Tigers, which just like, I mean, to talk about lopsided, right? But not more importantly, but just as importantly, the fact that they are able to do this points towards the fact that Enlisted is doing pretty well in terms of our player base, which is a pretty cool thing to think about as well, because if it wasn't, then they wouldn't feel comfortable doing this for the sake of keeping match times or match queue times low as possible. The fact that they can do this means that there is enough players to do so. So that's, I don't know, that's kind of like a smaller thing to mention as a part of that. Now, let's jump into what we're actually getting. So the Germans are obviously getting the ME-262. This is the, probably one of the more famous early jets of World War II. Probably the most famous, I would say, of the World War II jets, just because it was kind of seen as like the German, like Wunderwaffe. And I think it was the first one to actually see combat, or maybe the first one to fly, something like that. Do they say here? I don't really see. 1944 onwards. I know that there's other ones, and I'm sure we'll see those here in just a second. But yeah, you can see here, it has obviously suspended armament. I'm not sure if it actually says here. Yeah, 500 kg bomb, as well as 4 30mm cannons, which means it is going to be a brutal plane to fight against. Very, very difficult to deal with. But at the same time, a late war P-51 is going to be able to mop the floor with an ME-262. Okay, the other thing that the Germans are getting is the MG-81. It's an aircraft machine gun replacing the MG-15. Has 1700 rate of fire, which is absolutely insane. Absurdly insane. So, wow. Okay, guess we'll see how that one plays out. For the US, we're getting the Meteor Mark III for BR5. The Meteor Mark III is the this is a British, right? Apparently the UK was one of the first to encounter the ME-262, and the response was the Meteor, which is a very heavily armed jet fighter. This thing is also pretty crazy. If I remember historically, the Meteor is actually more or less a better plane than the ME-262, at least for my War Thunder nerds that have told me that. However, it only has 4 20mm, but it does have 2 1,000-pound bombs. So it's got a little bit more like bomb armament, but a little bit less cannon armament. So take that how you will. Looks like the Americans are also getting, what is this? British the Northover. Oh my God. I have spoken English my whole life. That's crazy. Okay, Northover projector. Looks like this is basically, yeah, it looks like it's just like a implement, but for the Americans. Okay, kind of lame overall, but they kind of needed this. But I would have preferred a real weapon. The Japanese are getting the Kika. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, but this thing was the bane of my existence when I used to fly War Thunder planes. I remember being in my P-51 and always getting killed by these things. I don't know if it's actually good or if I just suck. It's probably a little bit of both, but I do remember seeing this thing kick my ass a lot. So we'll see how it goes. 2 30mm cannons and a 500 kg bomb. Pretty crazy. It'll be an interesting jet to see. The Japanese are also getting the Offenrohr to help them combat high-tier high-tier American tanks, which is a good thing. I've talked about this at length. I don't know, man. It sucks a lot that the Japanese are getting, like, this is now 3 of the 4 factions in the game have an Ofenrohr, and then the 4th faction has a Panzerfaust 100. Or maybe do the Soviets just have the 60? I don't remember. Either way, it's like every faction just has the Ofenrohr at this point. It just to me is like really lame, but I don't know. We've talked about that before. The Soviets seem to not be getting a jet. Oh, they are getting a jet. Okay, we'll see that in a second. They're getting the Fedorov 1912, which is a early semi-automatic rifle for BR2. The Soviets were the only faction that didn't have a like BR2 a BR2 semi-auto rifle, so it looks like they're doing that. 15.3 damage. Holy hell. Okay, wow. Well, we'll see how that goes. This looks like it's going to be a pretty solid gun. 5-round magazine. Looks like it's like clip fed. So yeah, 15.3 damage though. That's very, very good for a semi-auto rifle. We'll see how that plays out. That's going to be strong. I'm smelling some Soviet bias, guys. And then they're getting the Uragan SMG. Interesting. So this looks like an MP40. It looks like they... Okay, so so it looks like an MP40, but it looks like they took rear sights of damaged MP40s and stocks of MP40s, but then made a different gun. That's kind of cool. 750 rounds per minute makes it absolutely crazy. I find it hard to believe that this is going to compete with the PPS, but maybe it will. I don't know. Interesting. And then we have the Soviet jet, of course, the Su-9, the first jet aircraft of the Soviet Union. They do outright say it was completed after the end of World War II. Take that how you will. Oh, they even say here, we understand your concerns about the presence of a post-war machine in the game. The Su-9 ended up being the best option to match the competition from other nations. We introduced it into the research tree in order to balance the gameplay and avoid depriving the Soviet Union of a pleasant new addition. Yeah, I mean, I get that argument. I really do. I mean, you guys know me. I don't have a very strong opinion in favor of, you know, quote unquote historical accuracy. I'm very much so like 70% gameplay, 30% historical accuracy. This I think is on the line there. It definitely didn't see any kind of action. It was developed during World War II, so there's that. But it didn't really do anything until after. I will say that I don't necessarily think that it's a good argument to say like, hey, the Soviets need this to be competitive, because I think that the best props are pretty competitive with even the Me-262. I think it's pretty fair to say that they wanted to give every faction a jet as a part of this update, and as a result, they needed to do the Su-9. But I don't know. I'm sure this is going to be a point of contention with a lot of players within Enlisted. So I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. Like and subscribe, yada, yada, yada. Let's talk about the pre-order packs here. So the pre-order packs, I haven't actually looked at these, but this looks like a shooting star, so that's weird. Actually, no, they had the shooting star at the end of World War II, didn't they? Mostly a Korea era, but maybe they used it. I don't know. So for the premium packs, as a result that you can pre-order for the update, we have the Me-262A1U4, which is the most ridiculous variant of the Me-262. It has a 50mm cannon on it, which will just absolutely nuke tanks. It's ridiculous. I mean, those of you guys that have played War Thunder, I'm sure know all about this thing. It's a very fun plane to fly in ground battles and just like schwack Shermans. So I'm sure we're going to be seeing this a lot. I'll definitely have a video on it. And then we have the shooting star. So this is the American jet. This is not really that good of a jet, in my opinion. It's good in like War Thunder, but in Enlisted, because it only has M2 Brownings, it's not really like a ground pounder. Right, it only has like 50 cals, while like the other planes have like cannons. So it's still a great anti-aircraft plane, especially because its MGs, I believe, are all nose mounted, which is pretty sweet. But it does have a pair of 1,000-pound bombs, so you can kind of bomb stuff. But at that point, you'd probably just be using the Meteor. So yeah, take that how you will. And then we can see here, these are, of course, our pre-order bonuses. You get a decal, you get the nickname thing, and you get the little portrait here. I don't know who this is necessarily supposed to be, if it's supposed to be someone or if it's just kind of a jet pilot. generic thing. But there you go. Reminder that if you are on console, you'll be able to buy this bundle within 14 days of the update's release, since they can't do the pre-release as far as I'm aware. So that's staying the same. So just buy this after the update comes out and you'll get these nice little bonuses as well. Oh yeah, how much does this cost? I'm guessing 60, maybe 70, 60. So there you go. I don't know, we can look at a little bit of footage here. That's the sound planes make, guys. Okay. All right, guys. That's it. Lots of good stuff here. I'm really curious about the Fedorov. I think that's gonna be awesome. I'm really, really hyped for the Fedorov. And I'd like to see the Jets, of course. We'll see how those go. But leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this. And without anything else, I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.